Welcome back to another great episode. Actually, our first episode that is live of The Closing Table. I am your host, James Garman.
I'm Daniel White, your
Yes.
co-host. Super excited about this first live episode, my friend.
Oh, yeah,
Looking good this morning.
you're not by yourself, man. Let me cut this down real quick. I didn't know that was still up, just so we don't get that feedback. Yes, sir, you're looking good yourself, man. I see you got your coffee. I got mine as well, so you already know what time it is. It's time for us to wake up to a great conversation. Actually, I've been up since 4:15 this morning. What about yourself, man?
4:15, hit the snooze, was out by 4:30. So not far behind you, my friend.
Got you.
I did hit the snooze. I got to hit it at least once. It makes me feel good in the morning,
Listen, I totally understand. I totally get it. I have this on and off like relationship with getting up early. Some days I'm like, you know what? I gotta hit it 5 o'clock, 5:30 max. But now that we're adding this podcast, I think I really want to make it a part of my regimen, my routine every day to really get up between 4:15 and 4:30. I actually like the way I feel right now. I really like this burst of energy that you get at this time of the morning.
And then I feel like at night, like around 8:30, 9 o'clock or so, by 10, I'm like, okay, I'm exhausted. I can fall right to sleep.
So let me ask you this. Like, on the average, what time are you normally going to bed and getting up in the morning?
On average, before we started this podcast, I probably in bed during the week around 10,
Okay.
up between 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay, 5:36.
Yeah.
So yeah, on the average for me, depending on what I'm doing, because I do a lot late night sometimes, because I'm also into gaming and stuff like that. So for me, I can have a 12:30, 1 o'clock night, especially if I have a group of guys that we're just really enjoying the conversation and just being a part of a dialogue that they can kind of run into that 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then it's pushing my next day up to like 6:30, 7:30 of me getting out the bed. So I have to start being more organized and more deliberate of when I'm going to do that so I can make sure I'm going to bed on time.
I think COVID really killed me because I was 5 o'clock every morning before COVID.
Okay.
And then when we were stuck home for 3 or 4 months, I mean, you just roll out of bed, wash your face, brush your teeth, go to your office in one of your bedrooms or in your living room and go to work.
Exactly.
So I agree with you. This whole podcast thing now, I feel really good. 4:15, 4:30, waking up, getting ready for this, preparing, and I think it will carry on throughout the week. So it'll be a nice little journey to see how it works. I'll let you know Monday.
Awesome.
Next Monday, same time.
Next Monday, same time. And again, for everybody that's tuned in right now, I definitely appreciate you supporting the new channel, The Closing Table, with me and Daniel. So we want to bring you all a channel where we give you insight on real estate, politics, news, and different things of that nature. Even some entertainment-based conversation. Our conversation isn't just going to strictly be based around the hard conversations. Is going to also have some fun and enlightening moments at the same time. We want you all to come over here. Make sure you jump in the chat. Let us know that you're here. Show your support. We're looking to build this channel, add some moderators to this group, people that was willing to support us and help us grow.
Ask away as many questions as you want. If we don't catch it here, we'll come back later.
Yeah, we'll come back later. So overall, we really wanted to get this show started on the basis of getting to know one another, Daniel, because again, me and you on the surface only known each other roughly about 8 months.
8 months, January,
8 months.
right?
Yep.
January. It was a
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
Celebration for
Mm-hmm.
2021.
So-
We met each other.
Yep. So we've only known each other for roughly about 8-9 months, and I think over the last 8-9 months we've grown fond of each other and different aspects, and we can see how each other can benefit one another, in this journey that we're both on. You being a real estate broker, me being a real estate agent, us both working at the same brokerage now, which is EXP. So overall, I definitely think this podcast is a great opening space, but I do want to get to know who you are and vice versa. I know we had a few conversations recently of getting to, express who we are and what we feel about where our growth could possibly take us in the future. But now I think it's good for us to do this with an audience.
With an audience. Spotlight is on, my friend. All right. So who am I?
Who are you? Who are you, Mr. White.
First and foremost, I'm a father. I'm a husband. I am a family man, and then I'm business. And honestly, I think it's in that order for me.
Okay.
You know, it's being a father is the greatest reward I've ever received in my entire life. Like everything that I do every single day is for them, and my wife as a husband, my family. Um, I want each one of my family members to continue to prosper, and I hope that I give them the inspiration to do better for themselves. When it comes to the business side of things, I want to make sure that anyone that's around me in business is exceeding or maximizing their potential.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, my mother and my father had me when they were 16 years old. So, it wasn't going to be an easy road for them, right? But my mother worked her tail off. She's not stopped working since she was 16 years old. My grandfather and my grandmother were always there, old school values, husband and wife, married 54 years. So, a mother having me at 16 years old, never quitting on me, always got my back, pushing to make ends meet when we didn't have anything. And then I have my grandparents that basically, grandfather was a painter, my grandmother was a nurse, and they just grinded it out every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year of my life. And between the three of them, I think that they've turned me into who I am, and I respect them more and more every single day. And, I try to take all of that and give the guidance to my kids to always continue to push forward.
So yeah, so that's something that I think a lot of people that are successful have in common. They have a strong support group from grandparents or parent. A lot of people use that as a drive, to keep moving or to break past what a lot of people like to call generational curses. Me personally, I have somewhat of a similar story as you stated. But let me ask you this: what about your path to growing up enlighten you to want to be that person that did something outside of just having a 9 to 5? Like, what broke that camel's back for you that was like, man, I can't do a 9 to 5. I have to be my own boss.
That's a great question, James. So, seeing where my mother and I grew up, in town and country, we didn't have very much, right? Mom just worked 9 to 5 job. Then on the weekends when I could see and go over to my grandparents, and not that they were rich by any means or anything, but they worked hard. Like they worked amazingly hard every single day of their life. And so I was able to get clothes and shoes and dress nice, right? So I saw it from both sides. Like Monday through Friday, we were eating kielbasa, macaroni cheese in a box.
Okay.
And so going through school and going through all those times, I saw all the drugs, I saw, all the alcohol, I saw it all. And I made a choice at that moment. I graduated high school. I went to college for a semester, 2 semesters. And I was like, man, I'm going to go to work. I'm not going to be a statistic. I'm not going to be somebody that's going to be stuck in this town and not be successful. I want people to look up to me. Right.
Most definitely.
I'm looking up to my grandparents. That's who I looked up to as a kid growing up. So I want to say that, right after high school, I started working. I was going to school. 25 years old. I have my daughter.
Okay.
Living in an apartment. I looked at my wife. I said, I don't want to live in an apartment and raise our child, not my child, our child. I said, it's time. It's time to put your big boy pants on, big girl pants on, and let's start making moves. So We
So
did it as a team.
before you say that, what was your job? What was you doing at that age? Like, where was you working?
I was working at Chase. I was like in a marketing department there
Okay.
at
So
Chase.
Chase Bank selling credit cards.
Yeah, credit cards. Yep.
Okay.
Payment protection, little add-ons here and there. Yep. I worked there for about 5 years.
Okay.
Um, so, we had Sierra, we bought the house, and my wife has always had my back and always pushed me to go and grab other things. So I basically interviewed an insurance agent.
Okay.
I interviewed a general manager at a Ford dealership, and I interviewed a Century 21 real estate broker.
Okay.
And I was like, look, I got to make a career. I didn't finish college, right? Um, please finish college now. Please, everybody, finish college. And after those 3 meetings, I came back and I said, insurance and real estate go hand in hand. I was like, I'll go get both licenses. And that's what I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so it was those interviews. It was having Sierra. It was like, hey, it's time to put your big boy pants on and move on. So, and I'll be honest with you, James, you know me. I don't look backwards. I don't look back at Monday. I'm looking forward to Tuesday, the rest of today and tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, Saturday, Sunday to our next Monday meeting.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
that's awesome, man. That's great to know, because again, a lot of people would probably see you take your race, especially people outside of that, and say, you know what, he probably had a great life. He probably grew up in a, very affluent household. It was probably handed to him on a silver plate. But a lot of people don't understand, like most, if not all, of successful people pulled themselves up from the bootstraps. They pulled themselves up from the bootstraps to get where they are today. And nothing was handed. Every opportunity was created, or taken once it was presented. But nothing was handed to anybody. And I think that's something that a lot of people in our society has to realize, because I hear a lot of conversation about give me, but not much of what can I do, or is this something I should do to become successful? And I definitely appreciate you sharing that, because it's definitely the type of journey that I respect. I respect those journeys more, because people take those journeys and they have more of a respect for what they do, because it took so much to get them to where they are. So yeah, man, definitely salute to you on that path to growth, man.
100%, man. All right, let's get to the big question. Who is James? Who is James?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, very similar story. Grew up with a single mother of 4. Lived in Mississippi majority of my life. That's where I was born and raised. And I tell a lot of people a lot of times, Mississippi is definitely a place that will either shape you to grow or shape you to stay stuck. It's definitely going to do one or the other. The in-between, or looking for the in-between of, I can do both. I can live the life that I was living, hanging with my friends and doing that. And I can also be a successful person. Doesn't exist. You have to you have to choose one of the two. You have to either be successful or work towards being successful, which is very hard on its own, because there's not any places there really to be successful. Or you're going to just be out there hanging with the same friends that you've been hanging with prior to your adolescent ages, because a lot of the people I grew up with are still in the same spot, man. I go back home and visit moms, and I'm telling you, the same stores that we used to go to, they're still there.
Same people.
Same people.
Same thing, man.
Same people.
It doesn't change.
It doesn't change.
Yep.
So for me, I grew up there, man, amongst my brothers and sisters, and it was something different about me. And I'm saying that I'm not saying that in an arrogant way. I'm saying that in a more confident way now that I ever have been able to in the past, because I grew up with people who didn't have a support system, that didn't know how to use who they were to support someone else. It was always a crab in a bucket mentality, where it's always like, if this person is doing a little bit better than somebody else, they're going to find a way to try to pull you back down to their level. So growing up in
That
Mississippi,
happens today, James.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. And again, a lot of people don't understand that Mississippi is a place that okay, we still have a few dirt roads, but not all our roads are dirt. We have concrete pavements. We're not still doing horse and garages, but the pace there is so slow. The pace there is so slow, man. And coming to a bigger city, you get a faster pace where you have to either jump in and keep up or get ran over. So for me, my brothers and sisters, they didn't understand me as a character. They didn't understand who I was trying to become. My mother at one point, she was very supportive of my talents and what I was trying to do. One of my biggest support systems, honestly. She honestly, I wouldn't be able to be where I'm at without her, because I think I did a lot of it for her. Just trying to show her that there was an opportunity for one of her kids to be successful. I did not graduate. I did get my GED, but after I got my GED, I actually went straight to college. I went to a community college. I did 1 year there. I ran into some, financial troubles. I moved to Memphis, ran into some financial troubles my first year being a single father, and I had to move back home. When I moved back home, I was in a depression stage where I didn't want to come back. I didn't think I would ever come back. I had this, hey, go getter mentality where I'm like, I know I'm going to go out here and I'm going to kill it. And I'm going to show everybody that I could do it. I could be the first one to get my GED or high school diploma, whichever one. And I'll be the first one to graduate college. And I'm going to show everybody who didn't believe in me that I made it. Well, a year later, I'm back home. I'm moving back home. I'm sorry, I lost you.
You hit a speed bump.
Yes, hit a speed bump. But listen, at that time in my life, I was 22 with my first child. I didn't know what a speed bump was. To me, a speed bump was a brick wall. I was flying off a canyon, So I didn't know how to react to something like that. I didn't know how to react to not having security in that sense, because I went from being secure by my mom up until I was 20, 21. And I moved out on my own. And then once I'm feeling secure, I have a job and everything's going well, I didn't know how to react to a downturn. So
yeah,
I overreacted and I let that get the best of me. I actually started smoking weed, started drinking, because my same friends, encouraged me. Oh man, it'll be all right. Just take this, man, to get rid of all your pains, to get rid of all of your troubles. And that turned into a downward spiral where I moved back home in a depression state where 3 or 4 months after moving back to Mississippi, I became homeless. I didn't have a place to go. Sisters and sister boyfriends didn't want me staying there. My brother didn't really have a place to stay. I didn't know how to go to my family and say, hey, I need help. I didn't know how to go to my family and say, this is what I need to get where I'm trying to go. I slept in cars, slept in parks. I did that for almost a year. Ended up going to jail for some old speeding tickets that I never got paid. Just old warrants, some speeding tickets, stuff like that.
Things just start piling up.
Yeah. You know how I go. Yeah, it just kept piling up, and once I got there, man, and I actually sat down for those few months, and I got to see my life, and I really start to see who I was and what I was becoming. It actually woke me up. I got out, got a job, started saving some money, moved to Nebraska, started trying to figure life out and what I wanted to do. But it wasn't until I met my fiance, my ex-wife, and then we got divorced, and I started focusing on my actual school career. And I went back to school. I got my degree in human resources, which I'm still proud of to this day. First person to
absolutely 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
First person to ever graduate college in my family, like 3-4 generations. First one to ever go to college and graduate. So I got that.
You didn't let that go to the wayside.
I didn't. I couldn't, man.
That's awesome, man.
I could not. I could not, bro. So I got that degree. I met my current fiance now, and she's been one of the biggest, supporters in my corner, bro. She literally, anything that I'm thinking I'm trying to do or I feel like I want to do, she's the first one to say, what do we need to get it done? I've never had that until I met her. Someone that would say, not say, let me know when you make it happen, but what do you need to get it done? You
Like,
know, what tools do you need to make this happen? So when I met her, oh man, it was a game changer for me, bro. So,
you're like, did you pinch her to see if it was real?
oh man, multiple times, multiple times. I think I still pinch her today to see if it's real. Make sure I'm not. I get a few slaps, you know, that definitely wakes me up. But, but yeah, bro, like honestly, that journey for me, man, and where I'm at today compared to where I was headed, you know, 10, 12 years ago, man, that's how I got here today because I had a strong woman in my corner. And a lot of people don't believe that every strong man needs a strong woman, but I believe that to this day still, that every strong man needs a strong woman, whether it's their mother, it's their grandmother, it's somebody in their corner pushing them to go forward and keep moving forward to be the best that they can be.
I agree. I mean, after a long day, Monday, you come home, right? And you're grinding away all day long. You
Right?
come home, you need to talk to somebody. You need to vent. You need to let it off. I recommend, and I'm really bad at it sometimes when I come home and my first thing is I don't ask my wife, hey, how was your day?
Mm-hmm.
I tried now to ask her that before she asked me. Like it's
Right.
a game now between the two of us. Like who's going to ask first, and it's important to have somebody at home that supports your wants and your needs.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
Because in my opinion, it's easy to get to the top.
It's easy.
It's harder to stay on top. And when you get to that top, people want to poke at you. They want to say things about you. And those things can crumble, a man or a woman, at any point. It's how you face that adversity.
Yeah, exactly. And people think that there's a lot of temptation when you're broke. Just imagine when you get money, man. When you get money, there's even more temptations out there because people see that you have something, and they want to offer you any and everything in this economy to try to get into your pockets. So I tell people all the time, even friends, it's like focus on what's important. Don't worry about what you think is a reward that's really not. Just it's a moment of gratification, simple satisfactions that can get you caught up for a long term of undoing, So for me, I stay away from all of those simple, gratifications and those things that seem like that'll be a moment of quick satisfaction. That's not for me anymore. Those are the same things that kept me in the mud when I was in the mud, So definitely, man, it's like you said, it's harder to stay at the top, and the best thing you can do is keep away from just the people and things that are not benefiting you.
The worst thing, man, is when you see somebody and they're like, oh, don't worry about it. You got it. You're doing fantastic. Like I'm up at 4:30. I'm grinding away. My wife at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night is like, hey, are you going to put your phone down? You're not saving lives right now.
Right.
Well, kind of am. I'm insuring people's houses.
Yeah, I'm making sure they get.
She's like, you're not saving lives. So it's tough. You got to grind.
Yeah, you got to grind.
Hustle and grind.
That's what it's all about. So now that we're talking about hustle and grind, I want to also point out that if you're tuned in right now, and I hope that everybody is, I definitely appreciate the support. Jump in the chat. Let us know if you have any questions. We can definitely respond to those as well anytime. Me and Daniel want to make sure that we are basing this conversation around real life topics, real life moments that can actually benefit you. So we don't want to just be in here talking to not, to give you what we feel is right, but we want to have real conversations on, different perspectives and different opinions. So based on that, we are here. Now we're going to be talking about business, finance, stocks, real estate, insurance, all of those great things that help you in life and how to help you build financial wealth as well. But we also got to have the real conversations about self-development, group empowerment, just building teams and stuff like that, because that's part of all of this. You can't be successful in life without having self-development first. You have to have the right mentality to go out here and attack the world head on. So we definitely want to make sure that we are going to give you that on a scale which you can easily interpret and put into action. So when it comes to that, Daniel, that's what I want our audience to gain is that we can offer them something that is of value when it comes to building wealth, building finances, family structure, things of that nature. Also building generational wealth, but also giving them the real breakdown of what the economy is headed towards in that same sense.
James, I could not agree with you more, right? I think what you and I are about to give people out there, right? You can't get in one book.
Right.
You just can't get it in one book. You can read one book and think it's going to change your life, and it may. But the topics that we are shooting for, that we're going to talk about, you're going to get different opinions. Sometimes we may agree, sometimes we may not agree, right? But at the end of the day, I'm going to shake James's hand and we're going to move on.
Exactly.
So again, I thought about this podcast and you and I working together and collaborating over an EXP team, a group of partners, realtors in the field from Georgia to Florida. We could talk real estate, we could talk investments, you could grab one book off the shelf, but what we can do, you honestly can't read in one book, one setting.
You can't.
Super excited. Again, post questions. If there's topics that you want to talk about, send it our way. We'll definitely jump on board and make sure that we're providing the content that our listeners are wanting to hear.
Exactly. I totally agree. Shout out to Isaac that's in the chat right now. Our guy Isaac is tuned in, supporting the channel. Definitely appreciate it. I know he's been up since about 2:30 this morning, getting his workout in, handling his clients. He's a personal trainer. So we definitely get a lot of great information from him on the health and fitness wise. And we'll actually have him on here sometime in the future as well. Definitely get his perspectives on, health and wellness. Right now, let's go ahead, since we know what we want our audience to gain from this. Let's get into the real conversation, man. How you feeling, man? And this is not something that we're going to expound on too much, but I guess it's great for us to establish the perspective of what are we when it comes to political structure. And I'm saying now that early this morning my typing isn't that great. I said demo or republication. So
yeah. So, if you click on one of them, James, you'll see where your name pops up too. I was like, oh, maybe that's where he's at.
Wow. So so now let's get into the real conversation, man. How you feeling? Let everybody know, Democrat or Republican. Where you stand?
Yeah, I'm a registered Democrat.
Okay.
Yep, I'm a registered Democrat. With that being said, and we had a short conversation yesterday about that, James. My business right now in the insurance and in the real estate field has changed the way that I just go to the polls now, right? I'm not, one of the things that I hate about politics is the truth is never told. Starting January, I don't watch the news. I don't watch MSN, NBC, Fox, CNN. I don't watch any of those stuff. Mm-hmm. I stream insurance and real estate news. That's all that I do. And it was funny because last night here, the governor's race had their debate. And that's what I'm watching, right? I'm only watching the debates now. That's all that I care about. If I see a commercial of a politician, I turn it off or I turn my head because I don't care.
Yeah.
Because they lie. Every single one of them lie. And so in watching that debate, I base my decision making and who I'm voting for based on my family, my businesses, and those are really it. Like, and my beliefs, right? So I can't say that my registered status is going to be who I vote for this time around.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Why was it Democrat in the first place? Like, what makes you a Democrat, or what makes you a registered Democrat? Like, what did you agree with democratically that made you that?
It's with the past election for me. It's more about it. I didn't like the way that somebody talks about somebody, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. We are all, whether you want to believe your neighbor next to you, behind you, in front of you, we're all in this together, right? We are all in this together. And I honestly don't like it when somebody belittles somebody else. I just don't like that.
Okay. So
Right?
you don't like the bully aspect of it.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't like that. I can't say that I don't like all the choices and stuff like that, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
in the real estate and the insurance, we made a lot of money, but I don't like the bullying, right? Like I don't raise my kids to do that, and so I've been a registered Democrat since probably I was 18, 19 years old when I first was able to register.
Okay.
Right? I didn't pay attention to politics. I
Right.
didn't until COVID happened. I just kind of went with the flow of things. It's now that I have two businesses to run. I've got two kids growing up in a society that honestly scares me, right? I mean, I text and call, where you at? What are you doing all the time? Like my parents never did that, right? The sun goes down, you came.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, hey, where are you guys at? What are you
Right.
doing?
Right.
It's scary, you know? So I have, I don't want to say I've changed my stance, but I've changed the way that I look at things now.
Do you think you being a Democrat was a family thing? Like, did you learn it from family members or maybe?
It's possible, but again, you know what I'm saying? Like before I became a homeowner, before I became a father.
Right, before life happened, like
Correct.
and I agree with you. Like I grew up as a Democrat, but I didn't know I didn't follow politics enough to fully understand what a Democrat versus a Republican was. Honestly, there's Green parties and there's liberal party. There's other independent parties. There's so many other parties, but you only hear about the Democrat and Republican parties, right?
Yeah.
So for me, growing up as technically what you can consider me as a black person, I don't even like considering myself as a black person.
Come on, man, you're handsome.
Listen, I'm great looking, I must admit, but I think color has nothing to do with that. That's just great genes regardless. So so when it comes to me, I don't care to do the separation of American culture by race. I don't want to look at white people as white people, black people as black people, Asian people as Asian. If you live here in America, I just want to look at you as an American. I want to look at you as another human, another American citizen that we are all striving, as you stated, to get to a equal goal that of collectiveness where we all benefit equally. Now, that's very possible, but it's not at the same time realistically because not everybody wants to benefit equally. Some people want more. Some people do want less. They're okay with having less. They don't have a drive to want more. They don't have a drive to want to go after something, bigger. For me, I grew up as a Democrat due to the fact that my mother has always spoke, and friends and family members, other people have always spoken about what the quote unquote black community needed versus the American community. So for me, focusing on what the black community needs versus what the American community needs always creates separation. It always create division. So I grew up understanding Democrats wanted to help the black community, wanted to end poverty. It wasn't until I turned maybe 24, 25 years old. I think that was around the time Obama was starting to run, maybe 25, 26, when Obama was starting to run. That I started to wake up a little bit, what they call the woke society, not in the liberal stance, but in the stance of seeing things from a different perspective. Sure. So for me, it wasn't until the Obama situation where I started to stray away from the Democratic Party because I started to notice that in my eyes, that the Democratic Party was more of a pacifier for the black community versus a pull yourself up by the bootstrap society. It was like, how do we pacify them, keep them happy enough just so that we can keep them doing what we need them to do? And that's become a worker bee. I didn't want to be a worker bee. So once I started to separate myself from that perspective of just being a worker bee, I started understanding the difference in how you have to apply yourself and you have to also give back to the community with your work efforts and your idealism and your ideas to actually build America to be as great as we know it can be equally. So for me, that's when I started to transition. I did vote for Trump my his first year. I did vote for him the second year. No, I'm sorry, I take that. I didn't vote at all that first year.
James,
Yes,
you didn't vote.
I didn't vote at all. I was because I was in between of I was in between. Do I really care about what the government do? Did I care about the outcome? I was in that limbo stage of not thinking the government could do anything for me either way.
So
You know,
Obama does his 8 years. Trump runs. You didn't vote that time.
I didn't vote.
Okay.
I didn't vote for Obama. I voted
And
Republican.
this was your transition,
This is my
right?
transition.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't vote for Obama either year. I voted Republican both years. I think it's McCain lost both years. Then the last year, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just leave politics alone. Just kind of get my bearings around what politics really is. And then the second year, I voted. I finally voted and was confident in voting for Trump this past year. So I didn't vote for Trump the first year. I supported it, but I didn't vote. The next year, this past year with the Biden administration, I voted for Trump. Yes, I did.
All right.
And that's crazy because also, while we're talking about this, when I posted on social media that my affiliation was with Trump and I was voting Republican, the backlash I got from the quote unquote black community was, man, it was vigorous. It was, oh, how can you be a traitor? Why would you do that? He hates black people. Da 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 da. Listen, it's not about what your personal stance is on how someone votes. It's about what I see he can do for me as an individual first, and then what I can see that he can do for the world together. Because again, I don't care who's in office. I'm looking at what can they do for me as an individual first. How do my perspective line up and how do my business line up with whoever's in office? Because no matter who's the president, there's going to be something there for you. There's going to be something there for you. How you use it is up to you.
James, I agree with you. It's again, I stated that the main reason I couldn't vote for Trump, in my opinion, was I wouldn't want a guy like that walking to my front door asking to take my daughter's hand and go on a date, or
Right.
vice versa, or a woman that speaks like that shows up at my front door and asks for my son's hand.
Exactly.
It was a character thing for me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That was it. Was I successful? Were we successful when Trump was president? Absolutely. I do not disagree with that at all. But the character thing was for me. In like you're saying, the backlash that you received when you announced that you were going to go from Democrat to Republican, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. If I put on there right now that I went from Democrat to Republican, I probably would have more dislikes and hates than our podcast do. Not in 6 months, but in 6 months we're going to be on the top of the charts. But it sucks that is how it is now, right? Because you walk outside, you say hi to your neighbors. If you see something, say something, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all in this together, and it's okay to be different, right? Again, for me now, it is all about the real estate, the insurance, my family.
Mm-hmm.
Which candidate puts themselves in the best spot for me to succeed?
That's it.
In my values, and what I look at is what's going to be successful for me.
Mm-hmm.
May not be my neighbors, may not be the person behind me, in front of me, or aside of me, and that's okay.
It's fine.
You know what? Afterwards, we'll crack a beer, have a good time, laugh about it, move on. I don't care.
That's just what it breaks down to, man. So I'm at this point. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I'm bipartisan. I'm bipartisan or nonpartisan, whichever the correct terminology for that is. I just want what can you do for me first? And then how are we going to benefit as a community together? That's my structure. That's how I feel. And that's how I'm going to continue to go forward voting. So speaking about, I know you spoke about your governor earlier in Florida. How are you feeling about so far, who you're going to be voting for?
Well, I mean, DeSantis has it basically for the real estate and the insurance. He's held strong. He's made it a good 4 years, right? So, I mean, I can't argue that. I can't say that I agree in all his laws or in all his beliefs, but the majority of the things that he stands for and what he's done for my business, it's going to be a tough choice, my friend.
Okay.
It's going to be a
So,
tough choice. I did not.
that weighs heavy.
I will tell you this. I did not like the answer last night. He was asked the question um, by the opposite candidate, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to run for 2024? Is he going to run as a Republican for the presidency? And he didn't answer it. And that's like, would you hire a CEO that can't give you a definite answer?
Right.
She's going to come in for 4 years or 5 years to turn your company around or continue the path that it's on. So that's scary, because then at that point, who do you get?
Who do you get? Yeah.
Who do you get? Is that person that you're going to get, is he or she better than the potential candidate that is running against him? So, I don't know. How about yours? I saw that there was 3 of them up there, and it was pretty heated 6 days ago for you guys.
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to the Senate, I think I'm going with Herschel Walker, even though I feel like Herschel Walker isn't the best. But I don't think the other option is even better. So,
and so people know, James, right? I'm talking Florida. You're talking Georgia.
Georgia. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So people know.
We're not sitting in the room next to other. Daniel's is in Florida, and I am in Georgia. But yes, for me, Senate, I'm thinking Herschel Walker. Again, I don't think he's the best choice. He's the better choice. Just on paper, that's what it is. We have 2 idiots, and I'm going with the smarter idiot. So that's on the Senate. But when it comes to the governor, I'm sticking with Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp he's kept Georgia strong even through the pandemic. We had high numbers, lower death tolls than most, but we stayed open. A lot of our things stayed open. We got rid of the mask mandate way before a lot of other people did. We was one of the ones. We was very rebellious. They was high on the Trump wave, but it kept Georgia stable. It kept Georgia real stable. Our economy has boomed. It's still booming over here. I love that notion. It's been great for my business. I made a lot of money during COVID, especially in real estate. I look to make even more money coming up in the next, first and second quarter. First and second quarter of next year is going to be tight, but I think it's going to start opening up by the third quarter of next year. So easily, I'm sticking with Brian Kemp. I think he's kept our economy strong here over the past 3.5 years, and I'm going to be confident in my choice again with voting for Brian. So, again, like you said, people might not like his delivery, might not like his approach to some of the situations, but when it comes to the business structure, I like that he's bringing in more money, and that means more opportunities that we can capitalize on. So
Brian and DeSantos.
Brian and DeSantos, yes.
I'm going to flip it on you, right?
Okay.
So lead into this. Since you say that you're going to make a lot of money in the third and fourth quarter, how bad do you think the market's going to get?
Okay. Well, honestly, I think the market is really going to have a telltale sign of in the next 5 weeks. The next 5 weeks, we're really going to see what is going to be the determining factors of where we're headed. Honestly, the thing, and I put this up here as well. JFK stated this: leadership and education goes hand in hand, and it starts with the big office. The big office first. Let's talk about the big office. I think we have some super idiots in the big office right now. I have found some things that have been super beneficial for me with the Biden administration, but overall, I think they don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't think they have any clue of how to run a nation. We have seen more dramatic falls in our stock market on top of our production, our jobs. Everything has had a huge decline. I understand the numbers. The numbers make sense when they're speaking about 20,000 new jobs being added, but that's anybody's registering a business as an independent contractor. Anybody can do that. There's 25,000 new real estate agents right now signing up today around the world. So adding new jobs doesn't really make that much sense to me when you use those numbers versus the numbers of how we're losing in other categories. So the market for me is going to, let's put it like this: is the market going to crash? I think the market has already crashed. We're just pumping so much money into this economy as a stimulus and a substitute for what's actually real, is that a lot of people are blindsided with that, thinking that, okay, everything's still good. People don't want jobs, even though there's jobs out here paying $13, $14 an hour for McDonald's or a Wendy's gig, and people don't even want that. People are more comfortable staying at home trying to get it however they get it versus going to struggle. The COVID ruined a lot of people. So our market has already crashed. It's just that we can't see it because of the blanket of stimulus and the amount of money that the government has pumped into our economy, that we look stable. Now, let's talk about it a little bit deeper, because if we talk about the UK, China, and Russia, the Ukrainian war, all of that stuff is declining their economy so much that at some point that these wars are going to have to shift their finances over to the US dollar, because the US dollar has now already went through the inflation process, that their dollar is just now going through the inflation process. To the UK, have you heard about what's going on in the UK? The UK Prime Minister quit because of their stock market crash on their dollar.
I read that last night.
Right. So
did Boris say that he's not rerunning, or he's stepping aside?
He's stepping aside. Yes, that is definitely the thing that looks like is going to happen, because right now the UK has lost so much value in their dollar because of the bond market. The bond market has crashed over there. So now what we're seeing is that they're now starting to get loans from other countries like us, the United States. They're getting money from us. People are going to be using the US dollar, even though our US dollar is less. Now, it's still inflation happening. It's not the same dollar it was 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. But due to the fact that we have already reached that high number of inflation, other countries are going to be using our dollar to keep our dollar stable longer. But we're still looking at a global crash, man. We're looking at a global crash. Ukrainian war, the Russian war, going to have to end that shit, because if they don't, they're looking to even cause more devastation globally. Russia, China has so many restrictions right now that they don't even want. They're still using this COVID thing. They're so hell bent on not allowing COVID to destroy them that they're destroying themselves by keeping these mandates.
Yep. I was gonna say, yeah. At some point, you gotta let it go.
You gotta let it go, man.
Gotta let it go. Yeah, that whole bond thing is kind of crazy with the UK and how they do it, right? You know, they were buying bonds for $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
They're, paying it with cash. They were making a little bit of money, great, and now they're losing 20%.
20%, 20% daily. So.
Yeah, you go from making 5% on your bond, right? Okay, over $1 million, multiple bonds, and now you're losing 20, 30%.
None of that money makes sense. Now you can't pay. Now you can't pay back the banks. Now you need the government to step in and fund those banks to keep things going. So a great thing I heard. One thing you can do right now is take a European trip for a little bit of nothing. Like you can go over there and live like a king right now with the US dollar.
I'll tell you.
You go over there and live like a king.
I can tell you from experience. I know how much money I spent when I went over there 5 years ago. I know.
Yeah. So yeah, man, how you feel about the economy? Like, do you feel like it's gonna crash? Have we seen the worst?
I'm with you, James. I think we need to get past this November 8th election. And then give it a couple of weeks, let the dust settle, and kind of figure things out and see what's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was reading an article yesterday or the day before, second quarter, maybe the end of the first quarter,
second quarter,
interest rates should level out, right? I think the big thing right now with interest rates is that people just have the unknown. They don't know where it's going. One day it's 6.5, then the next day it's 6.7, then it's 7%. It's like a round table. If I said 6.5, by the time that it gets around back to me, it's going to be 9.6.
Yes.
Right? I don't think we as a society have seen a steady number and just sit there. If we could see an interest rate sit at 5.4 for 2 or 3 months, now things change. It's now it's something that we can accept, we understand, and then we could start buying. So I think the interest rate with the feds is a big deal for a lot of people. I really do. So I'm in agreement with you. I think the second quarter is probably where we start seeing the trend where we're moving. I don't think we're going to see 40,000 over asking prices on
No, no,
houses.
yeah, no, that's
I think the prices of houses are going to stay steady. Um, there was another statistic that I read that from 2020 to 2022 in July, the the rise in price was like 50% or 40%. It went from the average $200,000 home all the way up to 370 or $381,000. Like that's insane. Like there is a correction there, right? A 1,400 square foot house should not be close to $400,000
right. That is definitely
unless I can walk out on the beach.
right. That makes more sense, and it has to be technically in California. So,
Yeah.
so with me, I understand that there's always an overreaction, and so when there's an overreaction, there always got to be an overcorrection, and then an overcorrection is going to turn to another overreaction, and then that overreaction is going to start to minimize and to be a more balanced, reaction overreaction type of thing. So for me, I think there's going to be with what I have in here is called everything bubble. I think everything is going to crash. I think it's all going to crash. Maybe not all at once, but in a chain events that we're going to see the housing market going to go down a lot. We're going to see the stock market go down a lot, and there's going to also be a crash when it comes to the economical state of the global society when it comes to trade and imports, exports, things of that nature. So we already have a lot of countries, like we mentioned earlier, dollars deflating right now as we speak. There's riots going on in one of the richest islands in the world, which shouldn't be happening right now. So my thing is that everything bubble is going to happen. Everything is going to pop. Like right now, you still have companies sending out credit cards to people who really can't afford to get credit cards. They have credit scores of 590s and 600s, but they're still trying to send these people $500 credit card limits, $1,000 credit card limits, because they're trying to get as much money into the economy as possible.
Yep.
But they're doing it just like they did the housing market back in the 2000s. So giving everybody homes that don't really deserve it. So what I think is overall is we have to find a way to invest in this time, because this is the time you make money. This is not the time to be scared. This is the time to make money. Right now, you should be pulling all of your money. You should be technically liquidating everything you have and getting prepared for the big buy. There's going to be a big buy happen, and I think it's going to happen within the next 5 to 6 months, where everything is going to reach ahead. Everything is going to drop, because people like to say bull markets and bear markets. I think both of those are BS to me, because everything is a bull market. Even when it's going down, it's a bull market for a person that's a bear. Right, and if you buy consistently, that bear market, which is a bull market for people who like to bet against the market, it's going to turn into a bull market, but a bear market for people who like to buy against it. So you have to consistently buy going down, and you have to consistently buy going up until you get to that point where it makes sense to sell at a great profit. But this is an opportunity, not a economical disaster. It's not an economical disaster. It's only economically a disaster for people who don't understand where to put their money, how to spend their money, how to use their money properly. And I was a victim of that. I didn't know how to do these things. I wasn't taught these things in school. I learned this stuff through networking, educating myself in books, reading the proper stuff, getting myself where I needed to be financially to understand how to financially be in a good position.
And listening.
Facts. You gotta listen.
Yeah, you do. You don't know everything. You don't, right? Right now we are in a time, like, for myself, one of the things that I've always stayed true to, like with investing, and I am not a financial advisor by any means.
In fact,
I do what's in my heart and what I feel is right for my family and my businesses. That's how I focus on things. So I'm not a financial advisor, so you don't go and buy the stocks that I buy or whatever, right? But I do buy the stocks that I use every single day. And
Yes.
we talk
Yes.
every single day. I don't care if it's Amazon, if it's Walmart, if it's, I would love to be in Publix, but you can't be in Publix.
Blue
Right?
chip stocks.
Yeah, right?
Invest in those blue chips.
It sounds stupid, but your toilet papers, your toothpaste, these are things that we use every single day, right? They're going to be around. Like, I don't think they're not doing away with toothpaste, right?
Facts. You need it.
It'd be a bad smell around all homes, right? Right? Toilet papers, toilet paper's going to be around forever. Paper towels, gosh, man, paper towels, you need them as well. So, the items that you use daily, probably a safe choice.
Yes,
right?
I totally agree.
When it comes to, like you said, a bubble's getting ready to happen, right? Something is going to happen. Whether it's going to be, you hear, there's going to be all these foreclosures, there's going to be all of this. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, real estate for me is the safest and longest long-term investment.
Can't make new land.
I can see it. I can see it. I know it's there. I can drive by it. I can see it.
You can insure it in case it blows away in a hurricane, the whole nine.
I know a good insurance agency with a couple of agents there. Right? Florida. I'm not in Georgia yet, but I'm coming. So if you have an opportunity to, purchase land right now, right? I mean, it's not going anywhere, like you said, right? Somebody someday is going to come up to you and say, hey, do you want to build on it? Or maybe you build for yourself, right? There's good returns on that. If you get the right builder, the right structure, the right area.
At the right time.
Yeah. Look at the growth, like where I'm at, all the growth and everything is heading north, mm-hmm. right? So if you have an opportunity, if you see something in your community, in your local area, and you start seeing, Amazon warehouses, Walmart's, Publix, right? You see Publix,
you know what's going on.
You see Publix,
you already know.
A
Whole Food, you know what's going on. Come on, man. Let's stop playing games.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? If you have $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000, $11,000 in that, you're like, hey, it's sitting in my savings account. I'm only making 31 cents a month on it. Is 31 cents really worth it? No. Is that a risk? Like, you have to take some chances.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, take chances. Make sure you have $5,000 or something in your bank account, because if your AC goes out, you're going to have to replace it, right? If you have to put a motor in your car or down payment, make sure you have that. I'm not telling you to go spend every single dime. I don't want your wife or your husband coming after us, right? But it's important that if you're looking at something where it's like sitting in the savings account, look at the growth, look at the maps, look at the permits. I mean, that's a great way. Go to your county, look at the permits and see what's being permitted out there. It's there.
Yeah. And don't forget to go to your local council meetings as well. Go be involved in your community. Like, that's a great way to get your face out there, to start building relationships and understand what's coming and what's happening in your, community, your society. That's one thing you must understand, So I know we got too much longer before we have to get up out of here. So let's go ahead and get into this last topic. And this last topic, it kind of reverts back to us talking politically a little bit. Now, well, I guess we need to kind of choose which one of these topics is more important. Let's go with this. Since we are on political talk anyways, financial talk, let's go ahead and talk about Mr. Kanye West, if you don't mind. All right. Don't know if you know what's going on with Kanye West recently in the news. Again, he's a super huge Trump supporter. We are in a stage of... We are in the last final stages where we're narrowing down who we really want to be our president for the next 4 years. Me personally, I don't think Biden is going to make it. I think he may have an opposing Democratic opponent as well. I don't think the Democrats Party or the Democratic Party believes in Biden's next 4 years. So I'm assuming that he's going to have another Democratic opponent that he's going to have to run against to prove that he, if he decides to run. He haven't even made a clip if he wants to run yet. But we're looking at Kanye West. Kanye West is a guy that I really like. I like Kanye West for a lot of reasons, but I also dislike Kanye West. And I'm not going to say dislike. I dislike his approach for in a lot of different scenarios that it's not always appeasing to myself, but I am who I am. He's who he is. But Kanye West recently came out and said a lot of things. He spoke a lot of, honestly, I think he spoke a lot of truth in a lot of different ways. But recently he came for the Jewish community. And stated that, the Jewish community has created a lot of, dilemmas, and they've blockaded a lot of opportunities for not just black people but Americans. They're inserted themselves in the banking and the government. They have a lot of pull, and he sees that that's a problem due to the fact that they're a tight knit community that kind of only want to look out for themselves. This did create an uproar in our American society. He has been banned off a lot of different platforms like Twitter, Facebook. They've taken a lot of his interviews down off of YouTube. So my stance on that real quick is that I feel like Kanye West has a lot of information that I'm not privy to. I'm not in the same circles that Kanye West is. I'm not a billionaire. So I don't have meetings and I don't have conversations with people of that nature. I don't see a lot of the things that he may have seen or come across in his time in the industry or as running for president in the last past 3-4 years. He's come across a lot of different powerful individuals, and a person that's worth $6.5 billion as one of the first black people that's worth that much. I can only imagine that he's seen and heard a lot. So I'm going to take what he's saying with a grain of salt, because I'm interested to hearing how this is, or seeing how this is going to play out for his character, for his business, for everything, because it will have a telltale sign that there is a cap on where you can go and how far you can get, even if they're going to block a man of that, status. So just out of curiosity, and speak freely or as conservative or, closed off as you like, how do you feel about the Jewish community and Kanye West's statements on the nature of the Jewish community taking over American community and turn it into their own personal playground?
Well, I will say that again. I go back. We talked about this earlier in the podcast as well. That I'm over the he said, she said. I'm tired of the negative talk. Right? I'm over it. You know me. My family know me, my friends know me, my business partners know me. I'm positive. I want to motivate. I want to dominate, right? My opinion on Kanye West is I think he is overstepping his powers. Like you said, he's he's worth $5-6 billion, right? Does he make great music? Does he market well? Fantastic. He just lost his #1 marketing agency or whatever yesterday. I think they canceled him, right?
Okay.
It was a very I think I read that, right? I think I read that Entertainment News and all of that stuff that they had canceled him.
Okay.
When I start to see big corporations, and I know people like TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and they ban them and all that stuff, there's a reason for that, right? Those guys are bigger billionaires, right? There's a reasoning why they're doing it. Kanye West and his comments are discouraging for me. I would rather see his comments focus more on hunger in the U.S. How about the hurricane victims down in Florida right now that were impacted by Hurricane Ian? That's what I would like to see, right? A great example of somebody that is in power like he is, but pushes it to taking it from good to greatness is The Rock, right? I mean, like he's always out there. He's always putting his best foot forward.
Okay.
I think sometimes Kanye West takes it one step forward and I'm like, man, okay, good. And then he takes 2 steps back. And so it's tough for me to get around Kanye West and his doings. I almost sometimes turn it off.
So, and I'm with you. I have this conversation all the time when it comes to Kanye West. Kanye West, I think sometimes he focuses his energy in the most negative ways when that energy can be used in more positive, insertions that can get whatever his goal is further. Like, and let's speak about that for a quick second. If I was Kanye West and I was running into whatever he considered roadblocks or, you know, political, whatever, financial, business. If I was running into these situations, instead of being publicly vocal about those things, trying to insert his perspective as if he's a Gandhi or somebody of that nature, wouldn't it be more inquiring or more of a successful strategy to create these movements silently, build whatever you need to build on a silent basis, and then maneuver that way versus coming out and putting a target on your back with the whole society versus, hey, this is who we are, this is what we stand for, this is what we're working towards on a more mild base versus coming out so erratically on these interviews and jumping on every podcast just to say how he feel about certain communities, why he feel like these things are happening. I think a milder approach would definitely be more successful. And before I finish, I said the same thing about Trump and while he was running this last time. Even though I voted for him, I always had the same structure that we are in a sensitive time where people that have nothing or who's working really hard to gain something need a little sympathetic, empathetic type of leader, somebody that they can feel, that feels like they can relate to. Because Kanye, you're worth billions. We can't relate to a lot of the things you say because you're speaking from perspectives that we don't understand. So if you're going to speak to people who are financially beneath you, I think it should be on a more softer basis. Trump, I don't think he was the softer. We needed a softer president during that COVID time, and he continued to not empathize and be sympathetic to our communities, and he just kept being the brash and the harsh president that he was and didn't take into accountability. That's not what we needed at the moment.
James, you're 100% right. Like, if we are in sensitive times right now, and we aren't privy to what they see and hear in their realm of friends and family and business partners and all of that stuff. I think there's definitely, with Trump and Kanye West, I can't believe I'm putting the two of them in the same. Okay, all right. So it is what it is, right? I think in Kanye West's status and where he is, I think he could do so much more where he is if he took a different approach. I just, the bluntness, the speaking of culture, racist, whatever it is. I mean, it's negative talk. And yes, there's people that are going to feed off of that, but there's also people that are trying to raise a family. They're trying to change the way that the culture has been with their kids growing up. And that doesn't, when you pick on a race or some group, it's negative. There's nothing good about that. That's you just trying to express who you are and what you believe.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right? If you don't have something good to say, don't say anything at all. Smile and walk away.
And I think let your actions speak louder is my standpoint on it. Like, let your actions speak louder, because words are just words. I think contradictively, he's shown us that multiple times, that he's say big things and do less. So for me, I'm gonna leave it open to just kind of see what happens. I'm not closed minded on it yet,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna just leave it open to see what happens. But we have to call it a show. Next week, we will be talking. We'll keep this conversation open because next week I want to make sure I leave this up here because I really wanted to talk about it. The Andrew Tate situation with the Red Pill, Blue Pill Society. We want to get kind of into that conversation next week. We'll have some more great topics on the market, keeping you updated with the presidential elections and things of that nature. Not too much of a deep dive on that stuff, but we'll definitely just touch bases on it. But I'm looking forward to having this conversation more often. I think we had a great show. How about yourself?
I do, my friend. Next Monday is Halloween.
Yeah, something I could care less about. But if anything, me, my daughter, and my lady, we will go and see, or not go. We'll go do a haunted house or a haunted like cornfield, whatever those things are, a haunted maze, something like that. Might just go out and do something like that. But other than that, yeah, holidays is not my biggest thing. But overall, hope everybody enjoy it. So next Monday we're going to be live again, and hope you see you all joining in and tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment below. Let us know what you thought about the podcast and what would you like to hear from us in the future.
Sounds good, my friend.
Awesome. Other than that, Daniel, have a great one, and I'll see you later, bro.